Hello and welcome to the Red Zone, viewers. This week we'll be taking a look at why I love Nintendo, and more specifically, Nintendo games. Now, for those of you who've been with me for a while and watched some of my earlier videos, you'll know that I covered this topic a little over a year ago, back in episode 6. But, considering those early episodes were a little on the rough side, I thought it was only fair to show this topic the love it really deserves by making an update. So, strap yourselves in and get ready to hear about why I love Nintendo. Now, much like in my first video, I'd like to take a quick second and just mention that just because I love Nintendo and Nintendo's games doesn't mean that I dislike other gaming companies like Sony or Microsoft, or back in the day, Sega. Quite the opposite, in fact. I'm happy to see that Nintendo has rivals that'll keep them on their toes and keep pushing them to be the best they can be, And I'm also happy that those companies exist to make other games and other consoles for other people to enjoy and to create competition in the marketplace because, let's be honest, that drives down the price of games and consoles, and that's good for all of us. So I have absolutely nothing against any of the other companies, any of the other gaming companies or console creators out there. It's just that if I had to pick one system out of every generation, it would always be a Nintendo console. But why? Why, you ask? Why Nintendo? Well, the simple answer to that is that I find Nintendo games to be the most fun. And I mean, that's what video games are supposed to be all about, right? Having fun. Nintendo isn't afraid to make fun the #1 priority. Nintendo isn't afraid to put fun ahead of graphics or deadlines or how cool a game is. I mean, during the Wii era, Nintendo games were constantly criticized for how, graphically inferior they were to their then competition, tons of games. I can't even think of any on top of my head, but pretty much all of them were criticized for being graphically inferior to the competition. And you know what? That didn't stop any of them from being just as much fun. Sometimes Nintendo games get pushed back, too. They don't always meet their deadlines. In fact, games like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze was pushed back significantly from its launch date, months. But when the final release is that polished and the gameplay experience is that much fun, it's easily worth the wait. And look, I'll be the first to admit that Nintendo characters easily aren't the most adult-oriented. They're certainly not the coolest or the edgiest characters out there. I mean, look at Captain Toad. It's a game starring Toad. Toad! Even among Nintendo characters, Toad is uncool. Toad has never been cool. Don't get me wrong, I think he's an okay guy. I'm sure he's a fun guy to be around, but definitely not cool. Not in any way, shape, or form cool or edgy. And yet, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a great game. It's addictively fun to the point where it's actually hard to put down. Now, to be fair, lots of companies make games that are fun, but I find Nintendo's games to be the most fun. And a big part of that is Nintendo's signature charm. It's always there, no matter what you're playing, whether it's a game that's bright and colorful, like Kirby's Epic Yarn or Yoshi's Island, or a game that's more dark and serious, like Metroid Prime or Twilight Princess. The charm is ever present. You can just feel it, almost from the moment you boot the game up. And I've tried to describe this charm in previous videos, and I'm not sure if I've ever really managed to do it justice, but I'll try again. I should admit that, for me, at least in part, there's nostalgia involved. The first video game I ever played was a combination of Duck Hunt and Super Mario Bros. On my grandparents' NES when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I loved it. I was hooked immediately, and I've been a Nintendo fan ever since. But in addition to that nostalgia are Nintendo's familiar characters, settings, and aesthetics. And underlying all of those are puzzles, positivity, and adventure. It doesn't matter which Nintendo game you're playing, there is almost always an element of puzzle solving involved, from overly easy to painfully frustratingly difficult, and everything in between. But Nintendo games almost always have a way of making you think about changing the way you look at things, changing your perspective to solve puzzles. And there's always a sense of positivity too, even when you're super frustrated and you just want to give up, or even when the plot has your character just completely down and out. There's this message of positivity that if you just keep going, if you just don't give up, you know, if you work hard enough, you can make a difference. You can make things better. And I think that a lot of the time that message of positivity is what's kept me involved. It's what's kept me engaged and wanted me to keep just continuing the adventure. And that's what Nintendo games really are. They're adventures. As children and even as we grow into adults, I think we all love a good adventure. And Nintendo offers so many different ways, whether you're running and jumping through the Mushroom Kingdom, or riding Epona across Hyrule Field, or just training to become the best Pokemon trainer of all the land. Nintendo is always taking us on these adventures of the most fantastical kind, and so I guess there you have it. I just love playing Nintendo's fun, charming adventures, and I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments below what you like about video games, Nintendo or otherwise, and let me know if you think there's anything I might have left out about what makes Nintendo so great. Leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. That would really help me out. In the meantime, stay in the zone.